Welcome to Previously on X-Men,
the podcast that looks back on X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. And you can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Other shows on the network include Three Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say three nice things about a movie with a bad, and often earned, reputation.
I've been on that.
You have. There's Is It Classic, Does It Rock? Where we pick a band or artist and go through their discography, album by album, track by track.
I have not been on that.
You have not been on that.
No. I don't foresee myself being on that.
Sure, I get that. And there's Nostalgia Me This, a trip through nostalgic pop culture.
I haven't been on that either.
Yeah, sorry. I've been on it once.
A little bit like I should have been on that.
I was on it once to talk Jurassic Park. Never got an invite again. So that's usually how it goes.
You know what you did.
Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X. And please rate, subscribe, and share the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Eric Mickles, known online as Dust vs. Tweak, and with me is my co-host, Hilary Gunning.
I'm disruptive today.
It's because you got your coffee. I think last time you didn't have your coffee.
That's true.
So
the last one or two times I have not had my coffee.
Yeah. Listeners, can you figure out which episode she didn't have her coffee?
Go back, see if you can figure it out. Little Easter egg for you.
Today, we are talking about the 2006 film X-Men: The Last Stand, the third film of the original trilogy.
Yep.
So the last film of the trilogy.
The Last Stand.
Yep. All right, let's go over the history of this movie.
Cool.
Now, a lot of what I'm writing here...
hang on.
What?
I just want to point out that you mentioned Bryan Singer here. You have it typed Brain.
Oh, yeah.
Brain Singer.
Look.
Who's Brain Singer?
Brain Singer was the second director they thought about getting on after this. Like,
okay.
Brian's out! Get him Brain!
They just need all the singers.
A lot of this is from my own memory, but I will cite when other information came here. But Bryan Singer left the project to work on Superman Returns, another 2006 film.
Which I like, and Eric doesn't really like.
I don't really like it. I feel like we got... Well, we'll get into that. But the gist is we got two very mediocre films in this guy's opinion. So I remember them talking about various directions they were going to go. I remember Bryan Singer suggesting they would even film X-Men 3 and 4 back-to-back, and so it wasn't going to be a trilogy. We were possibly going to get 4 movies.
Yeah, this was at a time when I feel like trilogies were like the thing.
Yeah.
Like we'd sort of settled into, and now we're doing trilogies.
Yeah, 99 to like 2007.
Yeah.
Right? Like Spider-Man 3 and Pirates 3 kind of ended that. But yeah, during that, like, the beginning of 2000s, everything was a trilogy. So whereas work and talk for X-Men 2 had started like during X-Men 1, 3 had not been really like in place.
How much time is there in between?
3 years between each of the movies.
Okay.
But this had less done after X-Men 2 than X-Men 1 did. Singer has stated that he didn't have much of an idea yet. But there was rumors that it was going to be heavily focused on Phoenix, and they wanted Sigourney Weaver as Emma Frost, or the White Queen.
Well, I'm very interested in them wanting Sigourney Weaver. I don't see that as Emma Frost.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it would have been like an older version of the Hellfire Club.
Well, I mean, I guess at the time you didn't have a huge pool of like tough women actors to choose from. So if you were going to go for like...
Sigourney, yeah. There's even some concept art released of, you can see like, I remember it being like Phoenix energy waves like going out. Maybe it was destroying a city. It was supposed to be like the effect she was having globally.
This is from some book that you read?
No, this was something that they released online.
Oh, okay.
I remember that happening. But that didn't happen. Singer left because he wanted to work on Superman Returns. That was like a passion project for him. And instead of waiting, Fox was like, no, we're making X-Men 3 when we want to make it.
Boy, I wish they'd waited.
Fox brought on Matthew Vaughn to direct the film, who at the time was probably best known for the British film Layer Cake with Daniel Craig.
And still known to this day for Layer Cake.
No! Matthew Vaughn? He directed X-Men First Class, so we'll be talking about him again, but he did The Kingsman and Kick-Ass.
Matthew Vaughn, I feel like, is the name of a character.
Oh, no.
In, like, Alias?
Huh, okay.
Somebody check that for me.
Sorry, Matthew Vaughn.
I'm pretty sure. And they call him Vaughn. You don't know.
Okay. Matthew Vaughn wanted a movie with more practical effects and got as far as casting Kelsey Grammer as Beast and Vinnie Jones as the Juggernaut. So he went much further along than Singer did. And I remember this happening. I remember like news coming out and him like, we're going to do practical effects. It's going to be cooler and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I liked Layer Cake. Let's do this. But
so
then,
you've seen Layer Cake.
Yeah.
I have never heard of this movie.
Oh, okay. It is 2005? I can't remember. I watched it before I went to college, so before this movie came out. So probably 2005, 2004.
So you're a Matthew Vaughn...
No, I
acolyte.
I might have watched it because he had been cast to direct this, but I remember it kind of getting a little bit of play online. It's like one of Daniel Craig's early ones. I might have even watched it for Daniel Craig because it was out before Casino Royale.
Ah, yes.
So maybe that's why. What would happen is Matthew Vaughn would leave because Fox wanted the movie out in May 2006. Absolutely.
Why did they ever think that rushing a movie is a good idea?
That's what they wanted. Vaughn felt that it would not give him enough time to do a good job. So Fox brought in Brett Ratner. And at this time, I mean, he's just kind of like a work-for-hire director because he did...
He'll just do whatever.
He did Red Dragon. He did Rush Hour. He did some other
Rush
stuff.
Hour.
No, yeah, Rush Hour 1 and 2 are good. Everything else has always just been kind of like, yep, he definitely showed up to work that day.
Yeah.
Brett Ratner comes on to direct. Simon Kinberg, who has worked on like the original Fantastic Four movies and Elektra, which I didn't know about, which is like, what? You guys saw that? And then we're like, get him.
He's the guy.
But those are both Fox films. So
they got the blinders on.
Zach Penn and Simon Kinberg would write the script. Zach Penn would go on to do The Incredible Hulk and other projects, Watchmen, I believe.
Oh, so they are pigeonholed.
Yeah. So this is what I got from popmatters.com. The writers wanted to push for the Phoenix originally. And you can basically tell that because of X-Men 2 was ending.
Right.
But Fox wanted less of it because they didn't want a dark plot line to be the main focus of this big budget film that they have in the summer.
Yeah, that explains some of the impressions that I got from this movie.
Cyclops was killed because the actor, James Marsden, was busy doing Superman Returns. So
yeah, he was completely unnecessary in that movie, too.
In both.
It was a really weird choice.
So Fox told them to kill him. Anna Paquin was filming another movie at the time, so that's the reason why she's not in this movie this much, apparently. And Rebecca Romijn was also filming another movie, so she was written out of the film early.
It's almost like...
That's because
they
Fox
have rushed the film.
I'm gonna say, to be fair to Fox.
I don't want to be fair to Fox.
I know, but when you think about like 2006, this big of a budget of a movie with this big of a cast, it seems like kind of like looking back, I can't think of other things like that where they would have to reschedule everybody's like you think of MCU, how they like contract them for 8 movies and all this stuff. But like in 2000, if this would be filming in 2005, like Harry Potter, but like those are just, those are kids and a lot of the people are just like side characters. Like it's kind of ridiculous. And as we'll get in, they had a lot of money on the line. They still should have waited, but it is kind of strange to think like it wasn't necessarily a thing to be like doing a third movie with this much cast and this much money. John Powell would come on to compose the score. I think he later went on to do How to Train Your Dragons, the first movie anyway.
One dragon. How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon 1.
Singular. Here
are the new cast members. You remember when we talked about X-Men 2 and there were like 4 new characters? Nightcrawler, Lady Deathstrike, Stryker, and Pyro.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people they wanted to bring in but didn't.
Yeah, but like even 2 of those don't even have a lot of lines.
Yeah.
This movie brings in Kelsey Grammer as Beast, Ben Foster as Angel, Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut, Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde, Daniel Ramirez as Callisto, Shohara Agadashlu.
Oh, wow. You just dove right in.
As Dr. Rao.
I gotta respect you. Oh, I liked her.
Eric Dane as Multiple Man, Mealing Melancon as Psylocke, Omara Mota as Arclight, Ken Long as Kid Omega, Cameron Bright as Leech, Lance Gibson as Spike, Clayton Dean Watmow as Glob, and Olivia Williams as Moira McTaggart.
Olivia Williams! My husband and I were trying to figure out who that was.
Oh, okay. Do you know Olivia Williams? I don't recognize the name.
Yeah, I don't recognize the name, but we definitely have seen her in previous things.
That's the list of new characters.
Since this, but previous, never mind.
That's the list of new characters compared to them like, let's bring in Stryker and Nightcrawler.
Yeah, they went for it.
Yeah, and considering that they're like, no, it has to be 2000 May, that made them lose multiple characters. They just brought in a whole bunch more. So it's a lot.
Now Spike,
the guy who's throwing
from? Yes, I know.
Yeah,
but is he from X-Men Evolution?
I think that's the thing, yeah. He's like... But Spike is also a X-Men Evolution creation.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I think he was brought in because of the movie. Because he's listed as Spike. And that's the only Spike in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
And that's his power, his bones.
Yeah. It looks just like it. It comes out of his wrist.
Yeah.
And it's all gross.
So at the time, it was the most expensive movie ever made, costing $210 million. I don't know where that money went, but it's 2006, so who knows how much, like, the special effects
cost. There was a lot of CGI and stuff.
And, I mean, a huge cast.
Boy, it really seemed... We can talk more about this later, but it really seemed like the battle scenes felt to me like there was a lot of CGI happening with just, like, populating it. Just, like, a bunch of randos just...
Yep.
Thrown in the background.
A lot of randos in this film. But that's what I meant by, like, Fox... kind of having a lot on the line, because if it's the most expensive movie ever made.
So here's what I don't understand about production companies in general.
I don't know. Yeah,
they always worry about their investment, but they don't think about like making a quality product.
Yeah.
Like if you have so much invested, you'd think that you want to get more out of it rather than just like a slapshod piece of nonsense.
Yeah,
which is not to say that I think this was a slapshod piece of nonsense.
Well,
particularly.
I mean,
but. You know what I mean.
Yeah, reading Pop Matters, that article on popmatters.com, it really does feel like a lot of the decisions they made, even with other characters in this film, it's very much like made by a committee. Like the studio had ideas, and the writers okay. So the movie was...
somebody with a vision, let them carry it through to the end.
Well, I don't think Brett Ratner's known as a visionary.
I'm saying get someone with a vision.
The movie was released May 26, 2006. So they made it. They got their date.
It happened.
It made $459 million worldwide in 2006.
And Eric, translate that for everyone.
It is still the highest grossing X-Men movie in the United States, behind only the 2 Deadpool movies.
Deadpool movies?
It's Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2.
Are the highest grossing...
X-Men films. So Deadpool 1...
We can fight about if we consider the Deadpool movies.
They're going to be on this list. Especially, you haven't seen 2.
I haven't seen 2.
That's why we're definitely including it. So you have Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and then The Last Stand.
Really?
Yep. And if you adjust for inflation, it's just Deadpool 1, X-Men: The Last Stand. What that really also translates to is that X-Men: The Last Stand has sold the most tickets of all the X-Men movies.
Weird.
And here's what surprised me, because most people do not like this movie and consider it one of the worst, but its Rotten Tomatoes score at this time of recording is a 57% for critics, which is higher than I thought, and 61% for the audience.
Okay, so I think this is the time. I've been waiting. I've been holding myself back since watching it last night. This is the time. This is the time, Eric.
Okay.
After watching it last night, I'm sorry to say, I did not hate this movie.
Okay.
I was
waiting for you to be like, I love this.
No. I remember hating this movie.
Hey, this is our history with the film then,
We're already in it!
All right, so...
Okay.
When did you see it? Did you see it opening weekend and that stuff?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did.
Right.
I saw it at the drive-in movie theater.
Right.
With my husband-to-be. I got married in 2006 in November, so it was right there.
Okay.
And we saw it together. We hated it. And then I didn't see it again, I'm pretty sure, until, I want to say like 5 years ago. Were you involved when we were rewatching all the X-Men movies?
Probably.
Do you have any idea when that was?
Maybe. It would have been like 5-7 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we watched it again, and my husband tells me that I didn't hate it that time.
Okay.
And this time, I'm going to say...
So you saw it in theaters, and then you didn't watch it again until then?
Yeah, because I hated
years.
it.
Okay, keep going then.
I hated it. And so then I watched it last night for the podcast. And I think I kind of liked it.
Oh, gosh.
I think
We're not there yet.
Look, I have like 10 pages of notes just like walking through the scenes and stuff. And every now and just periodically, I would write down, I don't hate it so far.
Right. Oh, so far.
Still don't hate it.
Oh, no.
Do I like this movie?
Oh, no. This looks like a crazy person's journal.
Yeah, it's a little... I think I've landed on... I liked it. Like, I think I have landed on... I liked it and have critiques.
Okay.
Rather than, like, I despise it from start to finish. Do you want me to tell you, at this point, why I have determined that I like it when I hated it before, or do you want to talk about it first?
We'll get there then. Okay. I sent you the trailer for this movie.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch the movie?
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not going to show it. All right.
Do you want to pause it? And then we
yes.
watch it? Okay.
Yes, it's so important.
That's fine.
All right. So now you just watched the trailer.
I just now.
So there were 2 trailers that came out. One was fine. It was, you could tell it was before the effects were done. And then there was that trailer, which is, it's like last third is with the music Rising Empire. And I think it's by Immediate Music.
About that trailer.
That trailer made me so excited.
Yeah.
Because it's just that music at the end, that like dun dun, it just is like, yeah, and it makes it look like a more emotionally driven movie.
It definitely does.
They even take lines like Magneto does, like when the night is cool and they come for you, where will you stand? And like it's a slower take. You can tell it's not the take that's in the movie, and it's just like the person making the trailer understood what people wanted in X-Men, and I was very excited for that because of that trailer. So I saw it opening night with a full theater and everything, and I loved it. And then I saw it a second time, and I really liked it. And then I saw it with my mom and my 2 friends, and I loved it. And
I'm confused by the trajectory of this.
So I got really, it was just, this was, I mean, 2006, I would have now been an X-Men fan for about 6 years, having been reading the comics regularly for about 4 years. So I was in like, still like a freshman peak of my X-Men fandom.
Okay.
So like, we kind of laughed at like the 210 million, like where did it go and everything. But like, at the time, this was a big freaking superhero movie. Like the scenes at the end where Jean is going all Dark Phoenix and whatnot, and the water is like in the air and everything's being destroyed. Like that was big. At like what else was there? And so like for me, I was like, this is my X-Men universe. I love the X-Men. I remember they were flying to go to the island, to go to Alcatraz. I was like, I love the X-Jet. And then like my heart breaking when the X-Jet blew up. I was like, no, the X-Jet. It was just one of the deaths that happened. So like that happened. And it wasn't until like the next year or so, like I would have been in college and we started watching it on DVD. It was like, oh no. So I think something's up. And it took me a while, but I finally got there. I was like, oh no, X-Men 3 is bad. And it's not good. And it was a problem and all this stuff. And then it probably wasn't until Days of Future Past came and erased the timeline, so to speak, that I was able to like, oh, the healing can begin. And then I was just like, no, I'll just watch X-Men 3 and, you know, just
it's like
go
it
through
matter.
it. So now I still just watch it. And I said this on X-Men 2. This is the first time I've done this in a long time. Every time I've watched X-Men 3, it has been directly after X-Men 2 now. I watch X-Men 2 and then I just put in the hour and 40. So X-Men 2 becomes like a 3 or 4 hour film for me.
Oh, wow.
And because like the quality and excitement of X-Men 2 kind of bleeds over and keeps X-Men 3 going. So, but for this, I didn't watch X-Men 3 with X-Men 2, so it was like a month and so. And without X-Men 2, X-Men 3 is almost like a giant nothing for me because it doesn't have that excitement of X-Men 2. The plot lines feel less important because they're not so connected as right after it. So I don't know. I guess I still have to just watch it right after X-Men 2 to really
to get through it.
I'm with you where I don't hate the movie, but I don't think I could write I really like it.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing with my experience with it last night was I think I watched it for the first time in a long time as
that
kind
helps.
of a standalone piece.
Right.
And it felt like when you're watching the early stuff with Jean and like her starting to go nuts and stuff, it seems like they're very purposefully shooting it almost like a horror movie. So the tone is very different. And I think like in some ways that can feel like disappointing. But I thought it was interesting to see like a weird angle on it. Like you walk into rooms and she's like sitting in that chair and like being all creepy and things are floating and like there's all the tension of getting through.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I liked all the Phoenix stuff, which I remembered hating.
Okay.
But I liked it.
Don't add us. I take that. Don't add us.
I did. I liked it. I thought it was weird that it was a subplot rather than like
oh boy,
a plot.
Yeah.
But I thought she did a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a different take on Phoenix. It's not the Phoenix that I know.
Right.
But I liked watching what was happening. I guess if I sort of like divorce it from wanting
an X-Men
movie, I was just sort of like enjoying it as its own thing.
Okay. By itself, not caring about its place in X-Men.
Exactly.
It's it's the same kind of movies that, Brett Ratner makes with other things. It's just a popcorn film that is not going to ask you, the viewer, to do anything.
Yeah, that's
except maybe try to work out how the day-night cycle works in the world. But
what time is it?
Brief story outline. This has 3 plot threads, really. You have the Phoenix...
3 equally critical
You have
plot
the
threads.
Phoenix storyline that's mainly... it's mainly the Dark Phoenix storyline. Because the X-Men movies in general have not figured out to do the Dark Phoenix. You have to do the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So if you have Jean who can't do anything, and then Jean who's just evil, you miss the part where she is strong, and she's using it, and she's balancing her powers, so that like when she goes dark, you have seen this progression,
right?
And you've already seen what she can do.
Yeah, it's a really stark contrast from you've heard when we've been talking about the earlier movies, it's like Jean can't do anything, and now she's like tearing apart entire houses with like no.
So you
effort.
have the Dark Phoenix storyline. You have the Cure for storyline, which is from the pretty recent Joss Whedon story arc at the time. I think his comic run started in like 2004, and then this movie was 2006. So they grabbed on that. I mean, Dr. Rao is from that run.
Oh, okay.
So they take the idea that they found a cure for being a mutant. And then there's the third plot line, which is just Magneto is out there and has a big brotherhood this time.
Yeah.
So you have...
Why don't movies have one plot?
I
want an A plot
right.
and a B plot, and then we move on with our lives.
But even the MCU movies, they do, like, they have multiple villains and they fit them in multiple areas. But, like, the problem with X-Men 3 is that it's taking 3 storylines that each should have their own movie.
Yeah.
And
aren't really connected in the right ways.
No. I mean, I think you could get away with the Cure and Magneto.
Yeah.
But
like throwing Phoenix in there.
The Phoenix by herself is like her own movie,
well,
or
even
2
the
movies.
way they talk about it in the context of this movie, they basically like call her a goddess.
Yeah.
And she's mostly just standing
super telekinetic
in the woods
and quiet. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Hey, that's the Fox Forest.
It's the Fox Forest.
Fox Forest has made it so X-Men 1 we saw them in the forest, Sabretooth
in Alberta.
In X-Men 2, they were in the forest when their plane crashed and they were camping. X-Men 3, they're in the Fox Forest when Magneto's crew's out there. Those are like the 3 main plot lines. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I guess the Cure is like the main one that's affecting everyone else.
The thread going through everything. Because that's what stimulates Magneto and his whole thing.
Yeah. And
they kind of use it with Jean, I don't think very successfully.
Yeah.
But that's like how Magneto manipulates her, basically.
Those are the basic plot threads. There's the new characters are brought in like either in the Brotherhood or they're reacting to the Cure. Yeah. It's not, I wouldn't say there's like there's no like new character like Stryker. Like, I guess you could say you have Warren's dad, who's the creator of the Cure.
Yeah, but he's really just a side character.
So there's no new like villain.
Yeah.
It really is Magneto is the villain, and there's no, I guess Juggernaut's supposed to be like the new big like henchman that like Deathstrike kind of filled in X-Men 2. But there's also no new. I guess Beast is coming in now as that new X-Men character.
Yeah, Beast fills in a good slot. Mm-hmm. He has a role, like he's part of the government now, so that's a thing. But you're right that it doesn't feel like there's like a big vehicle for a new character. Like, and now here is this person. Right.
And a lot is thrown in, like the opening action scene as it is a danger room session. So you get the danger room. They're fighting a sentinel.
I really like that
There's
scene.
supposed to be like a Days of Future Past vibe going on in that.
Yeah.
You have that. And so those are just kind of thrown out. Characters kind of just show up, tell you what their powers are, and then they don't have any lines.
Right.
So the through line is very like simple compared to other stuff. With X-Men 2, we kind of had to go through each one. X-Men 1, we went through the movie like beat by beat. X-Men 3 is very much like, there's a cure, Magneto's mad, but it's weird because there's a lot happening at the same time. And this is the first time too the Marvel Comics flippy thing at the beginning is X-Men centric.
I have that written down.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
And they seem specific for what's in the movie. You got Joss Whedon's John Cassidy's run of Astonishing X-Men in there. You have, I think it's Greg Land's Phoenix End song for a lot of the Phoenix imagery. And then you have like the 60s era X-Men where they're dealing with Magneto.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like that. That's a nice little aesthetic of it all. I think, so the movie, one of the benefits this movie has is that the visual tone, and like not just from like the color palette, but even just the way things are filmed, it's still, you can tell there's a difference, but it's not jarring compared to X-Men 2.
That's true.
It's not.
That's true. The transition from 1 to 2 was startling.
Right.
But the visuals are pretty...
Right. Though where I felt like X-Men 2 added a lot more detail onto the screen and made everything feel very tactile and real, X-Men 3 is more sleek and, it's less about making everything seem really distinct, but more about just, I don't know, being a slick action film of the summer.
Yeah, and it sort of makes sense because the plot of it is it's placed in a very like established world. It's like the X-Men are there, they've been there for a while, mutants are a thing everybody knows about. That
was a weird, that I actually find a little jarring, but less so because I watched it after a while from the second film. The first two movies, you don't really see like the general public at all. It's just the main cast because it's so big and everything. This one, you see a lot of just people around.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of mutants, a lot of humans reacting to the mutants.
So it just, I guess that makes sense. I wish there was like a place, something between X-Men 2 and 3 to just build us up there to this count of people. I mean, maybe that's more of just me like, whoa, that's a lot of humans, that's a lot of mutants.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think probably the intention is to be like, and we just assume the time has passed and things have developed in a certain way and now here we are.
Yeah.
I think having it be just a trilogy to do that successfully because there's not as clear a trajectory when it's just 3 films.
I don't know if we're supposed to assume the world, because Storm says, why are we still hiding? So the world still doesn't know the X-Men exist proper. And I guess
my interpretation of what she was saying was that they're not putting themselves out there. Like they're not hiding in the fact that they're hiding their identities. They're just staying where they are, keeping their heads down and going through. So like people could know who they are, but they're just not like going out and fixing things.
I guess I just don't know if at this point we're to assume the general public knows about Xavier's school for the gifted.
Yeah. Well, I guess the end sort of implies that they wouldn't because there's so many kids coming.
Yeah, I think
and
maybe...
it's supposed to be sort of a safe haven.
Yeah, I wonder now, too, at the end of it, if, like, now they're, like, announcing it, like, this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
Because, like you said, there's new kids coming, so maybe they're just like, we're not hiding anymore. And, like, they have the talk, like, should the school stay open and everything, so...
What if, at this point, we take... Because there's so many threads. So what if we take, like, a thread at a time.
Okay.
And go through it.
Okay.
And then go back to another thread.
Okay. This is going to be a Tarantino film now. Okay. So let's... I guess the basic one is the cure.
The cure.
So they say there's a cure. The guy who's Warren Worthington's the second, I guess he would be, has come up with a cure. Basically, they've discovered Leech from the comics. He has the ability to negate other people's mutant powers. So they are processing that as an actual cure and announcing that and everything. He's going to use it on his son, Warren Worthington III, Angel, who's like, no, I don't want to do this, and then flies away.
Yeah. That opening scene with him
carving his wings, it's brutal.
Raising off his...
Oh,
having a 5-year-old son And watching that is a whole different experience.
Ugh.
It's awful.
It's gross
He's
to look at.
so sad and scared and like panicking, and he doesn't want to disappoint his dad. It's awful. Awful.
But then he grows up to be Ben Foster.
But then
So that's not too bad, I guess.
So he's fine.
Yeah.
I really like that he takes a stand against his dad and just like...
Hey, look at this. This poster has Angel in an X-Men costume.
What? Where?
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
But not once does he wear an X-Men costume. And part of me is like, did they just Photoshop Angel's head onto Iceman's body?
100% they did that.
Because they're probably like the same girth or whatnot. But yeah, so Angel's not an X-Men in this. He's barely, after his initial like, I'm not doing this cure, jumping out the window, he kind of disappears.
He's almost like a representational character in that moment. There's just so much going on with Angel and his dad and stuff that they don't really go into at all.
It's too bad, because in the comics, Angel with just his regular feathered wings is completely outclassed post like 1969.
Yeah.
Because everybody can fly. And when he's first there, it's kind of a big deal. But in the movie universe, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
So like, it's too bad you don't have Angel.
It's true.
Who can do these like, oh, I could fly. And people are like, whoa! I can make porcupine face.
Porcupine face.
Yeah, but this guy can fly. But yeah, he kind of disappears. And then the idea now is that they're going to start... because of Magneto's actions, the government is going to seize Worthington Labs and now start weaponizing the cure.
Yeah. So Worthington has started. He made the cure.
Yep.
Probably stimulated by his fear about his son being a mutant.
Yep.
And then he tries to make it this like benevolent thing.
Right. We're helping them.
He seems to genuinely think that this is helping. He wants to make it available.
It's a disease. We're trying to cure them.
To people who want it. We're not going to force it on anybody. Right. But then in like classic fashion, the terrorists come in, make it a combative issue, and then they start...
The video of Magneto, the like confessional video Magneto sends to the news...
Which they just air its entirety?
Well, that really made me uncomfortable in 2006 because that's what was on the news anyways. Terrorists were sending in videos and they were playing it on the news. That was something that just felt like too real world for me. And I remember being like, I don't like this. I didn't like that. I didn't like necessarily connecting Magneto with that, even though he is.
Yeah.
So Magneto, because of his actions... the government is now weaponizing it, putting it in a gun and everything.
Yep.
And so that's what's spurring on Magneto's attack of Worthington Labs. They're going to attack the lab and they're going to kill the boy. So Magneto has been building, now onto the Magneto plot thread. Magneto has been like building a brotherhood. And we don't see him until the cure's announced because there's like a big PTA meeting being held by, I guess they're supposed to be the Morlocks.
Yeah, they were pretty visually mutated.
So, yeah, I can imagine that casting call, like, weird faces. Do you look not?
Do you look weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that scene, actually, because they're, like, in an abandoned church or something, and there's that guy standing up and being like, it's okay, we need to talk to the people. Out. Yeah. And then Magneto has a really good entrance where he comes in and he's like, I know what people do in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, when Magneto comes in, it's funny because like this movie brings down, I feel the intelligence level of this movie from the rest of the series is a drop compared to 1 and 2. Yeah, it's very
straightforward in a way that the others weren't.
And the humor in itself is very lowbrow. But like Ian McKellen as Magneto didn't get that memo. He's still doing like cheesy one-liners that maybe he wouldn't have done before. He's still like he's elevating his scene. So like when he's in the PTA scene, he's up there and he's just delivering his speech. I prefer the pacing he does in the trailer because it seems more.
Yeah, you're right. That is better pacing.
It seems like more thought out and a little bit slower. Like he's trying to really hammer in.
Yeah, it's got more like gravitas to it.
In the movie, it's a bit quicker and everything.
Well, in the movie in general, I mean, talking about Magneto, we've talked about his arc a little bit from the other movies. The first one, he's very like purposeful, very thoughtful, very intense. Second one, he gets a little more cartoony with the villain side of him. This one, I think he's back to being like contained, like he's got a plan. He doesn't do any of the like weird quipping. He doesn't pick on anybody.
I don't know. He does. He has that Charles always wanted to build bridges line.
There is that.
That's a pretty rough one.
There is that. For the most part, I find him to be much more back to himself in this movie.
Okay. Later on the line, he's caused Jean. He's been manipulating Jean and whatnot. Jean goes nuts and starts destroying everything. He turns to the camera. He's like, "What have I done?"
Oh, that was awful.
I've hated that. As much as I loved
awful.
the movie the first time I saw it, I've always hated that scene because I'm like, you wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense that he would see that. It just.
Yeah. Well, he's
especially because at this point now he's also been hit with the cure and everything. He would just be like destroy them all kind of. So it's
earlier he starts to show a little bit more nuance in his I guess the way he thinks about things, because he has his plan. He's merciless about it, but you see him care a little more like about like Xavier and stuff. You see a lot more of him being like, this is what I have to do. I obviously have to do this, but maybe he doesn't like emotionally feel like he really necessarily like he would prefer to not have to be quite so violent. You get just a little bit of that in this movie that you did not get even the slightest before.
I think the problem with him in this movie is that he just has these out of character moments like that "what have I done," but also the whole Raven thing. So the Magneto is looking for Mystique, who's been captured, and they find her. Mystique takes the bullet and is cured instead of Magneto, and Magneto just leaves her there. And it just comes across like, I understand like eventually he would be like, you're not a mutant and everything, but it comes across too cold for the character, for the way they've been in this movie. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just trying to add warmth onto a character who maybe doesn't deserve it, but it always kind of struck me as like him just like leaving her there. He would, you know, he's got his cape is a cloak, is a shawl or whatever, just put that on her.
She's just naked.
He's just so like,
well that makes me think about this movie a little bit. It could be that this movie is one of those movies where they just do scenes that are good, even if they don't make sense. Because like that moment is a very good moment in isolation.
Right.
Like he comes in,
and
they're like a
moment,
team, and then he just drops her completely.
Right.
That's a very like emotionally stimulating scene. But you're right, if you step back, like you enjoy it, you're like, cool scene, you step back, and you're like, but that doesn't really fit with like what he's done here, what he's done here. And it could be that this is, I mean, it would fit with Brett Ratner's style, just that like it'll just be, this is good, I like this scene, I'm gonna do it regardless of
and you know,
like
they
a
had
broader
to
context.
they had to have it done by a certain time as well. You're right that the movie definitely works better as in pieces than as a whole. Like that is like the concept, like Magneto's like, oh, they're not a mutant, forget it. That's not a, you know, that I'm not saying like that's beyond Magneto, but in this one it just kind of seems weird. But this movie's just moving at a different pace. It's funny, I was watching it, I wrote down, this movie kind of moves. But then, right after Xavier dies, I'm like, never mind, this movie is slowed down and it doesn't move. And then it kind of comes back for a big action scene.
My notes to myself where I'm like, I like this is okay, blah. I get to this point where I'm like, this is too long.
After he dies, the movie is trying to do now quieter character moments.
But it's too late.
It's too late, and Brett Ratner and the writer, they just can't do that here. X-Men 2 and X-Men 1 killed it with their character moments. And you just had these little moments. It could just be like we talked about Pyro, just looking at the picture of Bobby's family.
Just little things.
It was so quick, and that's a quiet character moment versus, or like Nightcrawler talking about how people will never see what's beyond their eyes. Those are great characters. This movie, it's just like, it's trying to do the character moments, but it's also still trying to do them quick. But you can't do those small character moments quick.
Well,
so
it's like it's a balance issue, because in like X2 you have action, character moment, action, character moment, action. This one you have just like a big crazy amount of action, and then Xavier dies, and it's just like you put the brakes for like 30 minutes.
There's the pacing falls apart, and it's just not on the same quality, I guess. And then there's Jean. So we go back. Jean dies in X-Men 2.
It starts with Jean in
as a child.
This movie, right?
We see her as a child because we see
Jean,
shiny.
by the way, who they're just talking. Okay. So it's Xavier and Magneto show up at her house
with that CGI de-aging.
I
think that was like the first time
I was just gonna say,
it was used like that. It was a big deal when that happened.
Yeah, it's like reasonably successful.
Yeah,
they look pretty plasticky, but like for the time,
it's a bit plasticky
impressive.
These days now when you look at it.
But anyway,
but
so that's
I wrote down young face Professor X so kissable now because of the plasticky face, but his lips aren't that plastic. So his lips look a little bit more pouty. So it's like they kind of give.
It's like he's wearing one of those masks. That just, like,
Professor X looks a little bit more pouty, and I just thought that was funny. And this is the first time I watched it on Blu-ray, so I think that also looks a little rough now too.
I think mine was just DVD, so it was fine.
Okay, yeah. The person they get to play Jean's mom, she has to be related to Famke Janssen.
I always wonder about that kind of thing when they're doing casting of family members.
I think every time I've watched it, and knowing it's not, but every time I watch it for a second, I'm like, oh, they got Famke Janssen to play her mom.
Yeah.
But it's like, no,
they could have done that.
But it looks a lot like Famke Janssen, so that was decent casting.
But they show up at the house. And meet with the parents, and then get the parents to leave.
The dad's just like, we'll leave you alone.
They're like, so you two older gentlemen hang out with my 13-year-old daughter.
Did you want something from the cartoon where he's like, sodas, anyone? Root beers?
Yes, I did. That is exactly what I wanted. But then, so they're talking about her as this problem child because she has this crazy out of control power.
Right.
And then she sits there and lifts all of the cars in the background. Just sitting there.
Right.
That is a demonstration of very good control of her power. Like if she just like broke something, that would have been a great example of something out of control. But she just delicately is like, I would raise just
all
these cars.
Chris Claremont's
set them down.
She lifts Chris Claremont's mower and Stan Lee's water from the hose.
Yeah.
So that was Chris Claremont.
I didn't know that.
Holding the mower. He's like,
That's cool.
my mower.
That's cool.
I have to go back and do a lesser version of the X-Men now.
So then, going from...
back? Sorry.
Do you want to keep...
No, you're right that she has very good control there. I think they kind of explain it away when Xavier's like, in their sessions, she was developing this personality.
Well, but listen, that's what that is one of the biggest things that I want to talk about with this.
Okay. Yeah, so the Phoenix is not a cosmic entity, Firebird from space in this. It is Jean's... like an alternate personality, a second identity in her that has its own desires and everything. So it's kind of like schizophrenia. She has split personality,
which by Xavier's own admission only happened because of what he did to her.
I guess I missed. I thought it was
the way he describes it.
He says when they were talking, and it was showing up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't emerge. He says that what happens is that he builds these blocks in her psyche to force the power into her unconscious, and as a result of that, she develops a second personality.
Right.
And I thought that was just really interesting to see now after our previous episodes, where we've sort of started to notice that Xavier is a very questionable character ethically.
In the movies?
In everything.
I think this is the first time they've made him ethically...
In the movies,
movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've
in the
seen...
comics, yeah. In the comics, he's always doing terrible things.
Yeah, and how it sort of seems like maybe he's not... Like, you sort of... As a child watching the X-Men and watching these movies, and it hasn't come up in the previous movies until now, you just sort of watch it and you're like, he's this nice guy and he's the hero, and you just sort of...
Well, he gets kind of bitter when
him
Logan calls him out.
Completely.
He says, the line is like, I don't have to explain myself to you. It's like, oh, now we know.
Yeah,
you can help Wolverine as much as you say. And then all of a sudden, you don't have to explain yourself to Wolverine.
Yeah, because he knows that he's done something wrong, but he's already positioned himself in this place, which fleshes itself out really nicely in the new Class movies.
Right.
Like, especially the more recent ones. First Class.
Yeah.
What did I say?
New Class.
New Class, yeah.
Yeah, that's Saved by the Bell.
Movies. Yes. X-Men.
Professor Xavier, yeah.
But yeah, I
Screech
just
is a
was
Morlock.
really fascinated by... Of course he is.
Yeah.
I was just really fascinated by seeing that through a different lens, because he is very much a questionable character in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just like right out there. he broke her. Mm-hmm. He did something that he shouldn't have done, regardless of the consequences.
Right.
Because he should not have been trying to control her in that way. Mm-hmm. And then there was this consequence, and he's never taken responsibility for it in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, he does.
I mean, not
at the end, yeah,
intentionally.
Yeah. The difference between his questionable decision here and then the one in the comics is like in the comics, he just straight up was like, "Oh, Scott, you had a brother, and I erased the memory of your brother, and I'm the reason he died, and now you don't remember who he is. Also, I'm sending in a third team of mutants to go do this." Like,
well, that's almost like a haphazard like they aren't trying to explore what it means for the leader to be ethically questionable. Right. They're just like making him do crap.
Right. So in the comics, Xavier just keeps making these decisions. It's like, what? Stop it! I think you get away with Patrick Stewart doing this because he's a warmer figure.
That's true.
And you like him.
That's true.
And so you believe that his intentions were good, and that you also kind of believe like what he was doing. Maybe you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, if you give an 8-year-old girl the power to like move a whole city, you're probably going to have issues when she starts getting angry. So like,
but then isn't he doing the same thing that we're supposed to criticize the president for doing?
Right.
For all of mutants.
Right. Yes. No, I'm not saying Xavier's right.
Issue.
I'm just saying in the movie benefits. We almost want to give Xavier the benefit of the doubt because Patrick Stewart's performance is so much warmer. Whereas in the comics, he's like, I don't know, I guess you have a brother. I guess I killed him. Yeah. I guess I lied. Oh, he's back now.
You can be more disappointed in him. Yeah. Because Patrick Stewart, the actor, has like fleshed out this character.
So Jean awakes from the water. I always love how Xavier explains how she survived. He's like, my only explanation is that she somehow enveloped herself in a cocoon of telekinetic energy. And it's just like, don't say cocoon.
Don't say cocoon.
That sounds so dumb.
Then you have to like picture her like getting out of a cocoon.
In a cocoon, I know. It's
she's
gross.
Just in the
a slimy cocoon.
But I just like as soon as that happened, as soon as she like emerges from the thing, I was just like, so she's just been like in the lake? She's just been in the lake, just hanging around.
I guess she's supposed to be like unconscious in that cocoon, out of it, and just like trying to psychically awake. They don't explain it, but it seems like Cyclops blasting the water, the lake,
kind of like snaps her out of it.
I don't know. Yeah, because like we don't see anything, but it seems like that is what does it.
Oh my word! Speaking of Cyclops,
I wrote
scene like our first shot of Cyclops. Right. I was just like, ugh.
But
hi, Cyclops.
He is the scruffiest and most handsome we've ever seen him. In that. He's wearing that cool jacket. They haven't given him like this cool jacket. They've given him this scruff.
He does have the scruff. It's because he just can't care about himself anymore.
And
what is life now?
He probably looks the coolest he's looked, which is too bad because like he's been very clean cut.
Because he's not clean cut, yeah.
He's been clean cut in the movies. He's been somebody who I think he was in a turtleneck in the second movie. So he's been very much like, oh, it's time to clean my toothbrush. You know, he's checking the dates on all the Brita filters and everything. But in this one, it's too bad that he like visually he looks cool. Like the glasses, I think they make also look the best and everything. Mm-hmm. And then they're just like, well, that's it. It was because he was, in Superman Returns and everything. With he just couldn't do it. I like the line Cyclops gives Wolverine though, because Wolverine's still doing that dick move.
Oh my gosh!
Where he's like, hey,
I wrote that down too.
We both lost her. It's like, shut up. Together. She's my wife. Shut up.
I have a shut up written down for Cyclops. Yeah. Wolverine says, maybe it's time for us to move on.
Oh my word! It's like you weren't in a.
Shut up.
Yeah, this wasn't a like.
This is not your situation.
But I love the line Cyclops gives, like where he says, "Not everybody heals as fast as you, Wolverine." I'm just like, oh, and it's great because it just works. It answers so many things while also reminding you Wolverine has a healing ability.
In case you forgot. Yeah. Now you remember.
But Cyclops goes and wakes up Jean with his laser blast, with his optic blast.
Because she calls him, right? She calls him psychically.
She's basically psychically torturing him with her death over and over. It's like, stop it!
And then he comes to find her sword.
She shows up.
He comes to witness the area where she died.
He motorcycles up to Canada.
Psych on a bike is what I wrote down.
Psych on a bike. Oh boy.
I wrote
Even Xavier's given up on him. He's like, Scott's a changed man.
I know.
It's like, Xavier.
Yeah.
What?
This is your poster boy.
So I like that line Cyclops gives, but then Jean shows up, and it's a 3-word exchange that is terrible. Where Jean's there, and he's just like, Jean? She's like, Scott? How? I don't know. And then they start kissing.
Yep.
And it's just like, that's it. That's all the explanation Cyclops needs.
And then she, like, deconstructs him for some reason.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really understand that. Because I don't know why she does that to him. Because at first it seems like maybe they're going for the, like, this power vampire thing. But that never comes back.
Right.
So I guess the Phoenix is just dissolving things.
Yeah,
for fun.
I guess they're trying to have Phoenix be just sort of like a killer, like a crazy killer. But then later in the movie, they keep trying to give her motivations for being destructive.
Xavier says Phoenix was this creature of like passion and like fury and all this stuff.
Which is fine, but then like why isn't she just making out with her husband?
I guess what that is if I had to like figure it out, it'd be like she's doing that with Cyclops. And so it's the passion part, and then that's making the power. Like
it's too much power.
Right, it's too much passion and power at the same time.
So she's not trying to kill him.
Right.
It's just she's got so much power.
Her eyes when she's like, ha, 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 I'm about to blow up Cyclops.
Yeah.
But that never happens again. But then when her powers do blow things up later on, it's because like her emotions and like the passions. And everything. So like with Xavier and then with on the island and everything, it seems like fury, like anger and everything is there. So like her base emotions are what does that. And that's
make her nuts.
Yeah. Poor dead Scott, because he's our first victim.
Scott.
Poor Scott. This was spoiled. You just had to watch one trailer and you knew that Scott and Xavier were dead, because when they show the line of like the 6 X-Men standing there ready to fight all the other mutants, you're like, oh, here's a couple characters that aren't there. Yeah, you can.
As soon as he dies, I'm just like, why would you make a Phoenix movie without Cyclops?
Well,
like, why would you do it?
They don't care about Cyclops in these movies. And one of the writers said the reason why is because you can't see his eyes, so you can't relate to him. And I'm just like, what? Shut up. R2-D2 doesn't have eyes. If you blew up R2-D2, we'd be pissed.
Did someone really say that? Yeah, that is the least creative thing I have ever heard.
Simon Kingbird or Zach Penn who said it. One of the writers had said it. But I mean, they've always wanted these movies to be a Wolverine Jean movie. So, like...
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I don't get that at all. I wouldn't say that the two of them don't have chemistry, but there is nothing compelling about their relationship.
Especially because...
There's nothing that you're like, this is what's making me watch this movie, so I can see more of these two.
Especially because by this movie, Wolverine has known Jean for about the 2 days that they knew each other in X-Men 1. The day, like 24 hours, they knew each other in X-Men 2. The end.
He loves her.
He loves her. Yeah,
he loves her.
She's like, you'll die for them? He's like, no, for you. I'm like, maybe don't tell the other X-Men what you just said, Wolverine.
I don't care about them.
Yeah, I'm like, you wouldn't die for Rogue and Storm and
so pretty.
Kitty and Iceman and all these? Nope.
He wouldn't.
For her.
Just her.
Yeah.
It's a romance.
So after she kills Cyclops, they find her at the lake. She's unconscious. With that terrible line from Storm, "You don't want to be here." And Wolverine's like, "Do you?" I'm like, well, what? Shut up, Storm. Storm pisses me off in this movie.
Really?
Because Beast shows up and is like, they're calling it a cure. And Storm is just on her soapbox. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of you. You don't need a cure. And everything. But she's like, she's doing this. I'm like, Beast is in the room. Why are you, like, and Beast is like, because she's like, what kind of coward would do this? He's like, is it cowardice to hide yourself from persecution? You don't shed on the furniture and everything. And it's just like, she knows, like, because, like, I don't think, I like Kelsey Grammer as Beast, but I don't think Beast is, I was thinking about, in this movie, Beast says, "Oh, my stars and garter." I was like, oh, from the comics. But then I was thinking about how you mentioned, in the cartoon, Beast does that like a minor poet for a minor obstacle. And that Beast is so much smarter and elegant. But you have Kelsey, there's no reason this Beast couldn't be smarter and elegant, but he's not.
Well, they don't write it for him.
Right. But there's that scene where Beast goes to see Leech at the lab at Worthington Labs, and his hand goes back to as a human's hand, without the fur and everything, and he has this like brief moment where he's almost like speechless, and he can't remember the last time he looked like this, and that's a great moment. But Storm is just like, what kind of idiot, what kind of absolute turd of a human would do this?
I like that because it's very real to me, because she's absolutely right.
She's
to be
right that there's nothing wrong with
you as a broad issue, and it's something, it fits with her character from the first movie through to the third.
Right.
It fits that she would feel this way.
Right.
And it just, it's a thing that I feel like happens all the time, where you have like a stance and you feel passionate about it, and you're not going to let anybody take it down, but you miss the individual.
Yeah. So that's for me, like, that is just when that scene where Storm and then Rogue comes in, is like, they're going to cure this. She's like, no, nothing's wrong with you. Like, yeah, you can, that's nice. That's to say, and that's right. There's nothing wrong with Beast and Rogue. But at the same time, to just, like, these two characters, obviously they're going to want the cure or be tempted with the cure.
You can't just discount their personal experience with their struggles.
It just kind of, like, you lose, I think Storm loses this element of, like, have you talked to anybody, Storm? So Storm is a lot more in this movie.
Oh, yes.
Previously, that was more of Halle Berry wanting more screen time and more lines and everything. And it makes sense that Storm should be important and have more lines. I don't love...
She's sort of the senior character at this point.
At this point, Cyclops is gone. Jean is gone.
Wolverine is always sort of an ancillary character. Right. And so she's like... the one who's been here the whole time. She's teaching the kids, and she's going to be the one who takes the reins after Xavier dies.
I just wish there was more to her than, because she has more lines, but I still don't feel like there's enough there. I don't know.
She has, I think most of what her character comes from in this movie is in response to other people.
Yeah, that's it.
So the way that she interacts with Wolverine gives her a distinct characteristic. And the way she deals with the kids gives her sort of a distinct thing. So she doesn't very much, you're right, she doesn't very much have her own, like, internal thing, but she's very consistent in how she interacts with people.
It is nice that they, because in the comics, Storm takes over the X-Men when Cyclops leaves, so you do feel like Storm is the leader.
Yeah, I liked that.
And I get the impression at the end that now she's in charge of the school.
Yeah, I think so. Well, she sort of decides that she's the one who decides the school's going to stay open. And I feel like that was her being like, Xavier told me.
Right. Visually, though, for a character who's famous for very long hair,
flowing hair,
it just keeps getting shorter and shorter in these movies.
Well, that I think is the times, because that was like the trendy look.
But so because in the comics she has two looks. It's either very long or it's the mohawk, and they don't go for either after the first
one. The mohawk
one.
would have been fun. While we're talking about Storm, I like the way she and Wolverine and Beast interact together. I think that when they have their scenes together, they form a really good core.
I've always kind of been annoyed that, like, so many of the senior characters are gone. But when you think about it, Storm, Beast, Wolverine, Colossus, Iceman, and Kitty, that's a pretty solid X-Men team. Yeah. But because we don't care about that Colossus at all...
Well, it's because everybody... half of those core are kids. Yeah. But I think the three grown-ups, they do a decent job of feeling like they have a history. Yeah. And like there's that thing where Beast puts on the uniform and
he's like, I do like that line. Me. I did laugh at that where he's like, oh, I can't believe this used to fit me.
Yeah. So you sort of like get a sense of their history together, and I think they do a decent job of having like a camaraderie. Yeah.
Phoenix. That's how we got here. We're on the Phoenix line. How did I get here? They got, because they pick up Phoenix from the lake and take her, and she wakes up and she's all lusty and excited to.
That's supposed to be mirroring Wolverine. And
this movie is because like the humor is more lowbrow. Like Wolverine kicks somebody in the nuts and it's like, grow those back and everything. I'm like, oh jeez, this is where the franchise is and everybody. It's a lot more. I don't like. A lot more women are called bitches in this movie than the other two. More than you would expect. Which always kind of bothers me in superhero stuff. They do that in Arkham City. Like, the people on the ground that you're fighting will call Catwoman that. I'm like, I don't like that. Yeah. And also, this movie's a lot more like, these guys do it. Yes. These guys want to have sex. And it's just... And so, I don't know, it just kind of feels like X-Men 1 and 2 were trying to be smarter than, all these ball jokes and lusty cleavage shots. I am
positive that they painted in her cleavage.
Do you think so?
When she's lying flat on her back. I mean, first of all, that's not when you have cleavage. But second of all, it looked very artificial.
To be fair, Mystique has been naked for 3 movies, so and Wolverine and Mystique had that steamy makeout session in the tent and everything. So these movies haven't, but this movie is a lot more base
Yes.
about it all.
Yeah, you're right.
And so like when Jean is like, where are my fingers going? Like you said, the cleavage scene and everything.
She like rips off his belt
with her
that
psychic
one.
powers.
Oh my gosh.
But and she's in like these hot pants and everything.
Yep.
It's like, but in the theaters when I saw this, when she tears his belt off with her powers, like that got a laugh.
Yeah.
So like they knew what they wanted to target.
Yeah.
It's just you could tell by watching X-Men 2, they had a level they were reaching.
Yeah.
And X-Men 3 is just like,
let's just spread it thin.
Yeah.
Reach as many people as we can.
But yeah, she wakes up and is all hot for Logan. And Logan's like, wait a second, this isn't good. Because...
Well, they make out for a while,
yeah,
and then he pulls himself back.
Yeah, he pulls himself.
And he's like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, he stops from going all the way with Jean because like she's seen. I think her power is doing that thing again. What she did to Cyclops.
Yeah,
you get
a little
this brief
bit. And
moment. He's like, "Whoa!"
He's healing a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think he also sort of snapped out because Xavier had told him that she might not be in her right mind, and
I
so
think
he's trying to.
If she could control that, like, I won't dissolve this person in front of me, he probably would have been like. And then at the end, he's like, hey, where's your husband? So I don't want to give Logan too much credit in this. I think it would have been with a cigarette in hand, being like, you seen Scott lately? But yeah, and then she's like, please kill me and everything, which they end the trailer with and whatnot. But she goes to her old house, which is a thing they do again, and we'll get into that when we talk Dark Phoenix, the movie. She goes to her house, and I do kind of like the house
I like
scene.
that scene.
I like Xavier going there with his X-Men that he has, and I like him and Magneto going in because you kind of
sort of have a truce, kind of, because it's like neither of them really has a claim to the situation.
You kind of, it's nice to see them like have a scene together because they don't really have too much in X-Men 2 because one's kidnapped and the other, and when they do have a scene, he's you know, being mind controlled and everything. So it's nice to see them again, and you can kind of, I like Magneto's manipulation is good. You get so like mad at him when he's like, you want to control me? And Magneto's like, he does?
Yeah, I know. He's just like her shoulder devil.
And then when things get too out of hand, Magneto's like, oh, see, that's a moment where he says, like, what have I done? But he doesn't say, what have I done? You can just tell from his reactions and everything that he's out of his element.
Right.
And he's about to, something's going to happen to Xavier. That's Magneto's fault.
Right. And he thought he could control the situation.
Yeah.
And then he realizes he can't.
Yeah.
And someone he cares about is going to face the consequences. That's a pretty good, like, lack of dialogue scene.
Yeah.
He just shows all of that.
And so X-Men 2... and X-Men 1 to a point, but specifically X-Men 2, they have very exciting moments of action or power usage in that movie. You can, you know, the Nightcrawler White House scene, storms, tornadoes, and all this stuff. They're very specific scenes that are like, this is cool. And X-Men 3 does not have very elevated action scenes, but the house scene and a later scene for me specifically, they feel like a moment that you can like really latch onto. Like, this is
intricate visuals. You see like a thing is happening. Yeah, it's very specific to her.
Yeah, and even just like the fighting between the Brotherhood and the X-Men is kind of fun. I like
Speaking of which, this is not very important,
right?
But I watched very closely when Xavier goes into the house because he passes right by a Juggernaut, and I was like, anything?
No,
not even the tiniest flicker.
This Juggernaut,
he's just not. That's just not a thing.
He's not great. I'll talk more about Juggernaut for the later one, but I like the scene. It doesn't make sense physics wise, where Wolverine gets kicked through the ceiling and then comes down the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the angle and, like, how far and everything, and it just, that doesn't make too much sense, but it's a funny scene where he's, like, through the ceiling and then comes back down through the ceiling. I hate the fight. I hate Callisto in this because she's, like, super fast. They give her, like, super speed in this.
Yeah, the speed is weird.
It's stupid, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
They don't really use it in any particular way. It's just like, and incidentally, she's fast.
Yeah, it took me 13 years of watching this movie to realize, oh yeah, because Callisto and Storm are rivals in the comics.
Oh, yeah!
I've never, because I've always been like, why is Storm wasting her time with this basic mutant. It's just
That's funny.
And
I completely missed that.
Yeah, but it's also stupid because Storm controls the weather. This person is just fast sometimes. And I don't understand why. And this is the beginning of Storm only having lightning powers, really.
She did it again, yeah. There were a couple times when I didn't write them down, but I remember thinking, oh, that's an interesting use of her power. But then, she just emperors.
It's just like, because X-Men 2, we talked, the tornadoes, but she also, like, in the Mastermind area, she drops the temperature. And in this movie, she would like, I'll just shoot lightning and I'll hit. Yeah, but the professor, no, he'll be fine. His tires are rubber. But the spinning lightning punch is cool. But then that's it. That's the only, it's just lightning based. And so that always just bothers me.
She doesn't generate lightning from her hands.
Yeah.
She controls the weather.
Yeah. And then I like the whole, like, the music. I like a lot of the music in this movie, but the music, it's like Dark Phoenix's music. That da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, I didn't notice any themes.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, the music in that scene is great, and I listen to it on a regular basis because it's just, like, very epic music. And so it all just kind of works for that scene with Xavier and blowing up.
Yeah, it's sort of like it made me feel like it was like an Exorcist kind of a scene. Like she seems like she's possessed.
Well,
and,
it just
like crazy stuff's happening.
It feels big in the way that you want when you find out this movie is $210 million, which is more than a lot of the MCU movies are now.
I really like those images. The way, and there's the thing where the water from the sink is pooling on the ceiling. That was really cool.
They definitely put a lot of the money, I think, in those two, and I guess the Golden Gate one. But I like that house scene because of just how, like, epic and it's very, like, point A, point B, point C. Yeah. And there's, like, there's not a lot to fault in there.
Boy, I was ready for the movie to be over at that point.
Yeah.
Like, once that scene's over, I was like, cool, great movie, bye.
When I watched this movie in theaters, and I mean all 3 times, I did almost cry or / tear up at Xavier's funeral scenes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because more so in this movie. And
it is not a good monologue from Storm.
No. Storm's like, he did some stuff, but
mean and poorly delivered.
But I guess I was just like, Xavier was so good.
Yep.
Even though, the whole Phoenix thing. Yeah. But it was still like, he did go to all their houses.
He created a serial killer and has no remorse.
Then, like we said, I hate the love triangle in this.
The love triangle is so pointless.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere.
Bobby, Kitty, and Rogue, which is a love triangle in the Ultimate comics.
Okay, I mean, like, sure, it's not like an out of nowhere concept. Yeah. But there's absolutely no reason for a bunch of teenagers to be having a love triangle in this movie.
It's because, like, Ellen Page as Kitty, like, that's, like, smart casting. She looks the part. She's a small little person. Yeah. And Kitty Pryde's not a tall character, and like, so that kind of makes sense, and you can imagine Ellen Page doing a good job, but they don't really give her anything to make you think, like, I like this version of Kitty.
Yeah, well, what I'll say about Kitty in this movie is that they trap her in this triangle, which is stupid and pointless. Right. They don't give her good lines, but she is a noticeably good actor. Yeah. And so, like, she's
not bad in this movie, no.
She would sit in a scene, and she would be the one I wanted to watch. Okay. And I would watch a movie with her as Kitty. Right. Like, I would do that. Yeah. But they don't give her that. Right. They give her
the love triangle.
A love triangle with Bobby and Rogue, who, by the way, I don't care about from the other movies. Like, I'm not invested in Rogue and Bobby being a couple.
Yeah, their relationship. Yeah, it's annoying to think, because, like, at the end, they get away with it a little bit because Rogue goes and uses the cure. Yeah. And Wolverine's like, don't do this for a boy, do it because you want to do it. And at the end, Bobby's like, I never asked you to do that. I didn't want you to do this. And she's like, I wanted to do it. So they but at the end, it really is just because of Bobby.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I hate that ending. Yeah. And by the way, there's an alternate ending where it goes the other way, and I cannot understand why they used this ending. There's an alternate ending where that scene, he walks in and she says, I couldn't go through with it. Oh, yeah. And then he, like, accepts her, and then she's, like, relieved because he has accepted her regardless.
See, I would believe this movie's Rogue would do that, because her power, like, this isn't Rogue who has super strength and, flying and everything.
Obviously.
This is Rogue whose powers are more of a hindrance than a help for her in her just like everyday life.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think it's a problem with the Source in spreading each plot too thin.
Yeah.
Because
Rogue gets less and less to do in each movie.
Yeah, and you don't get, it should be like Rogue is the main focus in a storyline that is entirely about this cure.
Yeah.
And you see her intense
Yeah.
like emotional journey through the decision
we need to
process.
see her using her powers in a way that is helpful. So then we're
or like agonizing about what makes her herself, and what does she need to change about herself, and what does she need to accept about herself, and you see nothing.
But the main...
Nothing. All you see is, I can't touch my boyfriend. I'm going to decide what to do for myself.
Yeah.
And then she just like caves
because it's
for
like
her boyfriend.
It's Rogue's plot line, but it's Rogue's plot line spurred by the love triangle.
Spurred by the love triangle. Yeah, because it's always looking at them.
It's not even a love triangle, because I do kind of get the idea that Bobby is just being nice.
Yeah,
he's definitely like, he knows this is going to piss Rogue off, so he's an idiot.
He should go ahead and not...
Yeah, Bobby's an idiot. But he's another character I want to give the benefit of the doubt. Like,
he's thoughtless, but I don't think he's being duplicitous.
Yeah. So, but that kind of even just makes the love triangle even dumber.
Yeah.
Because it's just like nothing. If anything,
There's
it makes
3
Rogue...
scenes with it. You just cut it. Just cut the whole thing.
If anything, it just makes Rogue look like crazy jealous.
Yeah.
Like
stupid.
How is it kissing her?
It just makes her weak, and she's already weak. You know, like by the 3rd movie, you start a series of movies focusing on Rogue. The character of Rogue, Rogue growing as a person, and then you end up with her staring out a window while her boy ice skates with some other girl, and then decides to like just change her entire sense of self for this person. Yeah. Like, this is how we end up in after 3 movies.
All teenagers are stupid. So these 3 teenagers are just being stupid. So I guess they're all in character.
Stupid.
Yeah. Again, Phoenix. We're on Phoenix because the I guess now we're almost just to the end of the movie, because after all this like character stuff, Wolverine goes to like tell Jean to come back and everything. There's that fight with Spike with his bones and everything. I guess they said they added that because it looks like Wolverine's just showing up and killing a bunch of Brotherhood people who can't fight back, so they have to give him that.
Like a rival.
Yeah. Pyro gets that jerk line where he's like, I would have killed the professor, and Magneto's like, shut up.
Yeah, I did
Professor's
like that.
Great.
There were a few moments like that where you see the remnants of Magneto's respect for Xavier.
But this is where you really... If maybe because she hasn't been on screen too much, you have some hope for Jean as like getting any lines. This area is now where you start realize like, oh, they don't have anything for her.
Oh, she's just gonna stand there.
She just stands and stares and has nothing to say, and it's dumb.
Yeah,
it's a bad decision for her at this for this character thing. So like a lot of times she just stares and then walks away, and it's like.
Yeah, you have no idea what she's thinking or why she does any of the things. She's dressed like Scarlet Witch for some reason.
Yeah. Well, that's the best. I guess that's the best they could do. They didn't want to do all like Firebird and everything, so they like dress her in red and then put some fire lighting in the background.
Yeah.
This is where also the day-night cycle starts to get wonky. Wolverine shows up at Magneto's forest base.
Yeah.
It's daytime. Wolverine goes unconscious. Magneto's team leaves, so the army goes to get Magneto's group. It's pitch black. It's nighttime. I'm going to assume this is California because him and his Brotherhood walk to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nighttime. Cut to Wolverine showing up to the X-Men mansion. It is daytime. In fact, when they leave the mansion on their plane, it's daytime. California is 4 hours behind New York. So we're to assume it's nighttime in California, daytime on the East Coast, but when Magneto shows up to the Golden Gate Bridge in California, where it was pitch black at the base, it is evening. The sun is going down.
The sun is going down. Okay, so I had a solution, but if the sun is going down,
sun is going down,
because it could have been that it was like
daytime.
That it was like early morning.
No,
in
because
California.
When he picks up the bridge and drops it, it's still evening, but then cut to another shot, it is pitch black. It is like 11 p.m. at night.
Huh.
he drops the bridge and you see the sun going down. He's like, Charles always wanted to build bridges, and then shows like the base freaking out. Nighttime.
Weird.
Absolute nighttime. So it's just I was
excellent editing on that one.
I've always noticed the bridge going down and it's suddenly nighttime, but I've never connected like it's day. But
boy, that bridge thing. That is some grandiose nonsense.
It is the beginning of Magneto's habit of lifting very big objects.
Yeah.
The next thing will be a submarine, then a stadium, then basically every piece of metal on Earth, and then I guess a subway car.
Yeah, he does the subway car.
But yeah,
it's
this is
it's I mean, there's a place for him to make like grand gestures like that. I don't really buy it in this situation.
I like it.
But like, what's
like
the
idea.
point? Like,
Because
who's he trying to impress?
Everybody.
But nobody's watching. He's just on Alcatraz.
His brotherhood's watching. And
so
the
he's
people on the
impressing
car,
his own people.
but the government's watching. They see it. I think this is just like a grandiose power move kind of thing for him.
Okay.
So, but plus he's right. Like they're getting across. They have to get to Alcatraz. It's filled with sharks.
But like he could have lifted anything.
Yeah.
Like,
he could have put them all in cars and
got,
like flown around in like the Jetsons.
Well,
no, I like the bridge. It doesn't look great, like flying sideways and everything. There's something about it that like visually is less impressive than it should be.
Yeah.
And then when he says Charles always wanted to build bridges and drops it, everybody's just standing on it. Everybody should be dead or broken.
Yeah.
In this, so I guess I just assume for my brain's health that Jean is holding everybody together.
Sure.
That's the only thing I could think of, like, because people are in cars and the cars don't bounce. Nothing bounces. So
Jean somehow has the presence of mind to be
funny
carefully cradling everyone on the bridge.
At the end of like everything, when Jean's defeated and Magneto's gone and the base is abandoned, all the cars are still on the bridge with their lights on. I'm like, did everybody just sit in their cars and watch this?
Waiting. It's like they're on a ferry.
Yeah,
They're just hanging around. Speaking of Jean, standing and staring, it seems like
for somebody
most of the time
is super full of passion and fury.
Exactly.
She's pretty quiet.
It seems like most of the time when she's with Magneto, she's just regular Jean.
Yeah. Which doesn't explain why she's over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like when she's regular Jean, why isn't she being like, what the heck? I'm out of here. And it's like they keep giving her like shots of her face.
Like she's
where
trying
it's supposed to be like
conflicting.
Like she's conflicted, but like she's not conflicted.
She's not conflicted.
She has half of her personality.
Yeah, she blew up Professor X.
This. The other half doesn't even know what's happening.
Yep. Gosh, before we get to the end,
I started by saying I liked this movie.
Before we get to the end of the movie, we also need to talk about Juggernaut, who is like, because he was supposed to be like a big deal. I mean,
he was supposed to be a big deal because he's a big nothing.
Right, but I mean, he's not in the other movies because he's supposed to be like a visually impressive character, and he's a big, he's an important character in the X-Men.
Yeah.
Matthew Vaughn intended to use him as a character. I mean, cast him and everything. So like, there must have been some intention. But he's nothing. The same way with Multiple Man, which makes me sad because I really like Multiple Man.
Multiple Man, the actor, is from Grey's Anatomy, and
Eric
so
Dane?
that got him a little bit of goodwill from me because like he pops in and I'm like, hey,
right. I like the character Multiple Man. I was excited for him, but he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything. He has that one moment where he's pretending to be the entire Brotherhood.
Yeah, which is a clever use of his power. But it's also
if they'd like characterized him a little bit, that would have had more impact.
But also, if you're invading a base and you need an army. But the problem with Juggernaut, besides them playing everything about him for laughs, and that stupid, I get it has to be plastic or rubber.
His little outfit.
And that stupid helmet, is that when they get to the base, when they get to Alcatraz Island, and the X-Men are standing up to fight them and everything, Juggernaut is told to go kill the boy, find the boy and kill him, and he smashes his way in there. And Kitty's like, I'm gonna go, I'll stop him. And I remember watching the trailer, they only show like 2 scenes of him like smashing it, smashing through the walls.
Yeah.
And in my brain at the time, I just over exaggerated. I'm like, that's such a cool concept to have Kitty Pryde, who like is physically a tiny person, but whose power can go through walls, which is technically Juggernaut's power as well.
Right.
But he's this massive. I thought like visually and creatively, you could do so much with that.
Yeah.
With like going through different walls, like she's thinking she's outsmarting him. He smashes through stairs and all this stuff and all. But instead, it's just he chases her through like 4 walls,
through a bunch of walls
and then she turns around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is such a wasted
really
opportunity that you could have had something akin to like the Nightcrawler thing. It would have been... So I've always been heartbroken that you had this concept and that you had... I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I liked it just because they used the concept at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did not go anywhere with it.
A lot of this stuff has like Psylocke as well. She's in here, but she's the Brotherhood.
Psylocke's in there?
She's the purple-haired girl that's hanging out with Kid Omega, the porcupine boy.
Oh, I did
Arclight.
not make that connection at all.
She comes through the shadow. She like is invisible and comes
Right.
out. I can't remember when in the comics or if she still has it. She had like some ability to like teleport through shadows. I think it was during like a Shadow King arc. Kind of. So that's the only power they give her. But that's she's Psylocke.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Technically, I'm going to assume
liked,
she's Kwan or.
I liked Arclight.
Arclight, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a marauder in the comics. So I remember thinking like, is that Richter? Is that Avalanche? Just having, and then they're like, Arclight, use your powers. I'm like, Arclight.
And she like did the sonic wave or whatever.
Now we're on the island and Magneto's over there, and they get some cool moves where like Magneto throws cars and Pyro lights them on fire.
Yeah, he's got the
like,
flaming cars.
That's like a cool visual concept. But the whole the X-Men come in with their like super extreme individual entrances. Wolverine's sliding down the wall with his claws.
Yeah.
Colossus smashing the ground, and Storm throws in with the lightning and everything. It's like cool.
It's all very big. Everything is very big. And what you were saying about it not having a lot of kind of like small, intricate power moments is very obvious in this one because it's all just
especially
like groups of people
with this big
doing
battle of them. But all these mutants that they're fighting are just like faceless, nameless, and the ones they're physically fighting are just seem like people with no powers.
Right.
And I don't understand how you have $210 million and you don't have anybody doing anything in this. And Iceman and Pyro, that was the other thing. Iceman and Pyro going, like, dueling. And I'm like, that's going to be cool. Iceman's going to be on ice slides, going around. Pyro's going to be melting it. Oh, no. No, it's just
that stupid thing where they blasted each other for a while.
Coming out of the theater, I remember people saying, like, Dragon Ball. It was just Kamehameha fighting.
Yeah.
So
boring.
I like that he encases himself in ice for the first time.
Yeah,
I
liked that.
I laughed when he headbutted Pyro. Even this time, he did it. I'm like,
that's a moment of some real bad CGI, though.
Yeah, it's not great. But I guess, like, I was saying, like, it brings the bar low for a lot of things. Like, that's, I guess, a level of, like, physical comedy. I'm like, okay, you got me. But yeah, like Wolverine kicking the guy in the nuts and, like, grow those back. I'm like, come on, X-Men. Yeah, this isn't Fantastic Four or whatever it was at the time. Back to your Beast being eloquent and everything and clever in the cartoon. Wolverine's like, I thought you were a diplomat. And Beast is like, well, as Winston Churchill once said, there comes a time. He's like, oh, you get the picture. As he's putting, I'm like, the movie couldn't even nail
they
like
couldn't
one.
Even complete the line.
Yeah, and like the cartoon would have had it, and like as he was punching, it would have been like Winston Churchill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
And then they cure Magneto, which doesn't really matter because the cure doesn't work, we find out at the end. But Magneto's like, oh, I'm one of them, which is, like, nice. It's kind of sad for Magneto.
Yeah,
it's his
I
worst
remember
fear.
Being really bothered when that happened. I was like, that's too mean to Magneto. Like, that's like his most important
Magneto did
thing,
just crush people in cars.
I know,
when he freed Mystique.
Just like imagining the feeling that he would have had in that moment
it would have been
is just like crushing.
Yeah. Well, at this point, you're 80. Just start going fishing.
Just live your life.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a human now.
Go play chess. And
go chess. That's also kind of a sad scene because now Professor X isn't there to play chess with them.
Oh, that
Did you never connect
sad.
it? Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Because he's sitting there with chess.
Because they always play chess to get. Oh.
But his friend blew up because he made some bad choices, and then he didn't have any powers.
Oh, that's sad.
Also, what chess pieces are made of metal?
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
Know. Yeah,
maybe he bought them special because he's sentimental.
And then it seems like Jean's still standing there quietly. She hasn't done anything during this.
Yes, well, she can't have power and agency.
And so when Wolverine's like, it's over, Jean, it's done, she's like, oh, maybe I'll make a facial expression that shows I'm also done. But then the guys show up and they shoot Phoenix with the cure darts.
And then she goes nuts.
I gotta tell you, if Magneto's like, run out there and stop them, and I saw they were shooting needles from the sky, I'd be like, nope, forget it. This is fine. I'm gone. You do this. I'm gonna go home. There's no way. If I saw two people getting needles falling from the air, multiple needles, I would have been out. I would have just been done. I don't care what my power was. I don't care if like the people I loved most were affected. I'm like, you know what, guys? If you loved me, you wouldn't ask me to do this. It's funny because like Jean doesn't care about anything until people shoot her with the needles. I'm like, I guess that's a trigger for Jean.
Well, that's they very like lazily set that as the thing that Magneto is successfully,
which is crazy because the soldiers,
because she doesn't want them to control her,
right? But
so it's there.
But they shoot at her, but she hasn't done a thing this whole time. For all they know, she's been kidnapped. She's a human who's been kidnapped.
They have no idea who she is.
But yeah, that just sets her off, which just doesn't seem like enough to set her off on this.
They haven't done character development on any of the characters. So any of the things that they do appear to be just out of nowhere because they've not done any of the groundwork.
So Jean is dissolving everybody. Mm-hmm. Brotherhood, soldiers, everybody's just being dissolved. The X-Men are running out. Wolverine's like, I'm the only one who can stop her because he can heal really fast in this.
So fast.
Yeah, they've definitely... It feels like they've boosted it up since the 2. Because 2, he gets shot in the head, and he's unconscious for like...
He has to heal.
Yeah.
This one, she is actively disintegrating him, and he's just healing right back like it's nothing.
Look, I like this bit too, though.
Okay. The part with...
the part with Wolverine climbing up to stop her and her power, because the water... This is very visually... This is something that also kind of... It is a good visual. It looks kind of concept art at times.
Yeah.
And the image of like Wolverine, like basically crawling, hands on the ground, like crawling up this hill.
He's got a very physical role in this entire movie.
Well, he's Hugh Jackman.
He's like forcing his way through everything.
But I mean, you got a shirtless Wolverine being disintegrated, climbing up, with his hands. You've got the water and the fire and everywhere, and Jean dissolving. And then the music that had played during the house scene is back, but now it has a choir singing it. And so it's just very big, and I'm like, these moments, like the house scene and this, feel better but at the same time, those scenes don't involve the cure. So it's just like the one plot line.
Like, this is why I don't understand why they set Phoenix as a subplot, because that's the only interesting part of the movie. The writers
wanted it, but you know what? The general audience would not have cared if you didn't bring Jean back. Comic book fans would have known you could bring her back.
Yeah.
But like the person who only knew the X-Men through these movies just would not have thought anything of it. You would have just thought like there was this hopeful quote at the end. They're going to carry on. Who knows what could happen? But like, you don't have to bring her back.
But it doesn't have to be, because like the things that you like about Phoenix in this movie are not the emotion of having Jean back. They're the coolness of having someone with that much power.
Right.
So like that's still something that reaches a broader audience.
Right.
Regardless.
Right. So visually it's impressive.
Yeah.
But it can't be the main through line for Fox in 2006.
I guess.
But yeah, that scene, as dumb as it is when Jean's like, you died for them. No, I died for you. And like, what about your husband, Scott? What about the X-Men Wolverine? There's still the shot, and then when like he stabs Jean, and he's holding her, and then the water comes crashing down and everything. I'm like, well, at least it's sensation. I don't know what the right word is. It's that part of it. It affects the part of me that likes when all the visuals and the music and
lizard brain.
Yeah, the lizard brain in me. It's a sensationalist kind of thing. Yeah. And that works. Like even like Fantastic Four: Rise of the Surfer gets some moments like that for me, where like it's just it occupies all the senses, and so then that also kind of gets my emotions going up, and so like I connect with that, and it doesn't earn anything after that or before that. It doesn't earn that scene really,
right?
But like the scene is just competently done, in that way that it's like, okay, you didn't earn the emotion, but you definitely, you amazed the eyes.
Successfully manipulated my emotions.
Yep, you.
It's like that scene with Magneto leaving Mystique.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't earn it.
Right.
But it's a good moment all by itself, packaged in a cute little bow.
Yeah. I shouldn't compare these two, but because the one I'm about to mention does it better, but Christopher Nolan does that in a big way with his movies, where it's, the Hans Zimmer score is loud and empowering and powerful. The visuals are just like going, buildings are turning sight. It's all, Christopher Nolan is able to do that sensationalist kind of senses control in a very effective way, and like he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Whereas Brett Ratner, I guess, got lucky that the people knew how to press R to render these scenes.
There are certain directors, and Christopher Nolan is one of them. I think Zack Snyder is another one. Who, this is going to make it sound like they're more impressive than they are, but I think that they view their job as like almost like a still art form.
A little bit.
So, like, I don't want to say that Zack Snyder is an artist.
No, but he's got a visual eye.
But yeah, the way that they direct movies, they don't direct them for character. They don't direct them for story. They direct them for these scenes and these images.
Snyder had the idea to make Superman's cape CGI so that you could do cool things with the cape. So that's like that's something that like nobody had thought of, and Snyder was smart to think of that, and it does create cool images. And Nolan is able to do these big scenes because he gets great actors to do impressive performances around all the noise and everything. So like they know what their strengths are, whereas Ratner is just this is the third film, so somebody already cast Hugh Jackman, and a lot of the visual language of these movies is already set in stone.
Yeah.
So outside it really is just like, you imagine he just shows up, sees what the script is, and is like, all right, start filming.
Yeah.
So, and like you have somebody else as the cinematographer, so what is Ratner doing? But that ends, and then everybody's sad, but it's a happy ending because Beast is now in politics again, and
he's the UN ambassador
of mutant kind.
No, for everybody. Yeah. He's the American ambassador to the UN.
And Angel's flying around happy now.
He's happy now. He's fulfilled.
Rogue can now have sex if she wants to.
That's the most important thing. She sacrificed everything that made her who she was.
Wolverine is able to smoke cigars on the porch. They have 3 people dead. So many more people dead. The cure doesn't even matter. So, like, Rogue is going to have her powers back soon. Magneto's going to have his powers back soon. All these people die for nothing, but it's a happy ending. It's a happy ending of a trilogy.
Everyone's happy. They're so happy.
Also, Xavier might be okay.
So, oh my gosh, speaking of ethical dilemmas, that makes me feel crazy that he does that. That he's like, I'm just going to take this person.
He's got no brain activity.
This person. You don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, people don't know. People keep their loved ones alive.
Yeah, I know, because they could come back.
Decades, because we don't know. Like, we think we know, but we don't know. But he just decides that he's gonna make this person not be that person anymore. Yeah, that person is now me. Yeah, awful. Completely horrifying.
Look, that also actually will play into when we watch Days of Future Past, because the idea is that Wolverine goes back to his body. But his body would have been living for 30 years without him.
Yeah.
But you know what? You're right. I would have done it. If I was Xavier.
If given the chance.
And I was like, I think Jean is going to blow me up.
Yeah.
I'm going to that comatose person.
I'm just going to send myself over to
Moira
that person.
is like a non-character, but I guess it's cool that Moira McTaggart's here.
It's cool that she's there.
And she has a Scottish accent in this. Whereas
she does? I didn't notice.
Yeah, she has a Scottish accent, but then she doesn't when she's played by Rose Byrne in the prequel films.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember thinking that was so cool. I'm like, he's back. I remember like being in the second time, and I think it was the third time I saw it, where I was with my friends. Like, people were getting up. I was like, there's a scene at the end of the movie, everybody! And my friend Glenn was like, listen to him, he speaks the truth! And like, but then I was like, what if this print doesn't have it?
Oh, that would be sad.
And it's just such a crazy... It taught me something about meaningless fear that we put upon ourselves as children. We're at like 17. I'm like, don't stay, because it might not have it. Actually, it's like it's gonna have it.
I don't want to disappoint you.
So
all.
that's X-Men 3. So when I watched it this time, this was the first time, and it's probably because it wasn't attached. It wasn't like the end credits, like an hour and a half end credits scene of X-Men 2 for me. I felt like I had just nothing. I was just watching it. It was just like I was churning the channels, and oh hey, Last Stand is on. No emotional like connection. If it wasn't for this podcast,
movie.
And at the end of it, if it wasn't for this I have to do this podcast. But at the end of the movie, I was like, I don't really want to talk about this movie because it was the first time watching it where it didn't elicit anything out of me. It didn't elicit I talked about the scenes that I liked or whatnot, like the Phoenix Gone Wild scenes. But like they used to, but this time I'm just like, yeah, that's there. That's more competent and everything. And like I kind of remember how I felt, but it doesn't elicit those emotions now.
Right.
And it also doesn't elicit the same anger and frustration that I used to have.
Yeah.
I still think things are dumb. I think things are bad, and I think it's not a great movie. But because of how the franchise has gone along and how Days of Future Past corrects some things, it just becomes this like nothing of a film, and
it's
because
lost its power,
it's only an hour and 40 minutes.
I can't believe it's that. I can't believe it's only that long. It feels interminable.
Going to the theater and looking at the runtime, that was when I knew something was wrong. I was like, oh geez, oh no, they can't do this in an hour and 40. I couldn't even like fathom how they had these 3 plots in there.
When I got to the end,
you're right though. What you just said, it's lost its power.
Yeah.
Any power it had, for good or ill, it's just gone. And whereas like X-Men 2 still has like those moments of character moments that I then connect with, X-Men 3, you're right, it's just lost it all.
Yeah, because when I first saw it, it was devastating to me. Yeah. Because they had taken away everything that I loved. It was now gone.
Right.
And like this was going to be the last X-Men movie as far as I knew, and like everything was ruined and it killed me.
Right.
Now it's just like a thing that you watch. And it's like what you guys say about like the Batman movies. How like at the time it's important to you.
Oh, Nick and I. Nick, my co-host of the All Book Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now there's a million Batman movies.
Right.
And so one Batman movie you can just sit and enjoy, and it doesn't matter if it fits what you expect. That's how I feel about this movie. I was able to sit and just like enjoy weird horror movie scenes from Jean and just like live my life watching this movie without being upset that it wasn't fitting within its own continuity. Right. Or anything like that. I could just enjoy it because who cares?
But the thing Batman and Robin has over this is that Batman and Robin is such a spectacularly huge experimental failure in so many ways. It becomes more interesting to watch.
Because it's like, I see what they're doing
whereas
there.
Last Stand is bad, but it's competent. Like Brett Ratner, is probably a monster of a person, but his movies are like they're done in a way that's just he knows what he's doing. He can come in, he can shoot the scene.
He has the skill,
right?
But not the heart.
Right. He can make things look good. Everything in it can be good enough. Yeah. But he's not going to worry about like dialogue passes or any of that. So like it's bad without being the worst thing in the world. Yeah. And it's fine without ever getting to a level that even like the first X-Men movie with only like 75 million was able to do. And so in the same runtime. Yeah. And so it's just...
because the first movie had a point of view.
Right.
This one doesn't have a point of view. It's just a movie.
Right. And so it loses its power and it just kind of becomes nothing. Whereas like, other bad movies you can hold up like, look at this is crazy. They thought this would work and everything. With this one, they're like, yeah, you're right. This does work. And it sold the most tickets and got the most people in theaters of an X-Men movie. But, a lot of that is because of the cast and the first two movies that did the legwork. Days of Future Past made a ton of money compared to First Class. And then Apocalypse didn't make a lot of money. And I think it really is just because people like the X-Men movies when it's the original trilogy cast.
They like them.
And
it's a good cast.
Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, but also like the other in Professor X and Ian McKellen and everything. So when he's taking a lot of stuff that works because it worked, because other people got it to work.
Yeah.
And so like...
So he's working with a winning... Yeah.
I don't think Brett Ratner... It's almost like people... Every time you read it, like, oh, and then Ratner came in and ruined everything. I'm like, they could have gotten any just like work for hire director and it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
Because all Ratner did, I assume, is just come in and film the script.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's almost like you don't even have to mention Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
And even though I have, in the grand scheme, you can just be like, an X-Men 3 wasn't great.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Not for any reason. It just...
But, I mean, at least now I can watch it in a marathon without the pain.
Yeah.
So, we got through the pain.
The pain is gone.
The
pain is gone.
The next movie I'll probably be more angry about.
What's the next movie?
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. I like that movie.
Okay.
So prepare yourself.
Yeah. We'll get into that. So I don't think Last Stand killed the franchise. I think decisions that happened after Last Stand killed the franchise. I think you could have kept going with this cast and made X-Men 4.
You could. I think part of it, just from like my perspective, calling it The Last Stand, having it the end of a trilogy, it felt like this was the end.
Well, the studio...
So anything they did after felt artificial. It didn't feel like it was the real thing.
The studio wanted it to be a trilogy. They wanted it to be a trilogy, and they wanted to do like spin-offs afterwards.
Yeah, that's the mistake.
But I think after this movie had made all this money, they could have still been like, you know what? No, people want this movie, and they could still do it. It is called The Last...
they definitely could have kept going with this.
Because then you could have just been like, all right, Magneto's not our villain anymore.
Yeah.
We have a new cast.
But that wasn't a thing at the time.
No, it wasn't.
Having a long-running
It's really
series.
just Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, you're right.
In terms of, like, continuity, I mean, you can make the case for Bond and Godzilla and stuff, but, like, those are very, like, standalone movies.
Yeah, but the Star Trek movies are a story. Yeah. They're characters that are carried through.
Yeah, X-Men is very unique in that whole thing, that it kept going with those same continuity.
Well, so, I think it's interesting to...
This one, I now have to, like, feel like I defend it to people, like, oh, this is the worst one. I'm like... It's not. It's not the worst X-Men movie, and it's not the worst superhero movie.
Yeah.
You can watch it. It's watchable.
It's fine. It just doesn't give you anything.
Yeah. It has a bad visual representation of the fastball special of Colossus throwing Wolverine.
But it's cool that they did it.
It's cool, but, like, I guess in the comics, I've always kind of assumed, like, Wolverine's, like, curled up with his, like, and his feet are on Colossus's hands, and they're throwing him like that.
Anytime they have Hugh Jackman... flying through the air.
Yeah.
He looks really weird.
It looks
I don't
bad
know what
in
it
this
is.
one.
He's got like the claws forward, and he's just weird.
You can tell.
Is it the height? Is it because he's so tall?
He is tall.
That it makes it look insane?
Yeah. I think that's why it looks bad. The fastball special looks bad. Because Colossus is supposed to be huge, throwing a smaller man with claws.
Right.
And this is just like...
They do it twice.
Yeah.
They do it twice in this movie.
Yeah. Poor Colossus.
Poor Colossus.
All right.
Oh, and Colossus covers Kitty. Is it Kitty? Someone. With his exoskeleton thing at one point. Puts it on the other person.
Rogue.
Is it Rogue?
You mean Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue grabs him.
She takes his power.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't really paying attention at that part.
Well,
that's I was like, what?
That's one of the only... Right. That's where it's like, if they had done that more with Rogue.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it.
And then he's like, woo.
Yeah.
So... But we know he's Colossus because he's strong because he can carry a television with his bare hands without being metal.
Yep.
He's so strong. Look at that television, one arm.
He's strong and metal.
All right, that's our thoughts on X-Men 3. So join us for the next episode as we cover 2 episodes of the 90s animated series.
Oh, yay!
The Enter Magneto and...
The other one.
We think it's...
The Marauder one? No.
No, it's the one with Sabretooth and Magneto. I think it's called Deadly Reunions.
That's it,
But I could be wrong about the title. Those are the 2 that we're talking about. I'm Dust vs. Tweak everywhere online, apart from other shows on the Radio Meanwhile Network. I'm the co-host of the podcast, The All the Book Show.
I want you to try that again, but faster.
Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Yeah, we're covering that, and then either a character spotlight, I think, is next.
We got some sort of spotlight coming up.
Yeah, we got a spotlight after that. You can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X, and please rate, subscribe, and share this show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening.